Good morning. I'm Stanley from Hong Kong. I'm the designer. I started working, I was 20, 1980, and then 1989, I moved to advertising company, working in the #1, the first agency in Hong Kong, which gave me a lot of awards, very good salary, good client. I think I should be very happy and enjoy my life. Then, 92, I was 32. I have a dream. I forgot there's a daydream or a real dream the day I die. And yes, all my family, my friends around me in the hospital, I was lucky. Then this is my last word to them. I got a very creative life. What that means? Helping Levi's to sell more jeans, helping some investor to sell more apartment properties, helping the MTR, the subways client that get more passengers. It is my life. Then up to that moment, I was very worrying. Don't get me wrong, I'm still working very hard for my commercial client till now, but I couldn't accept that this is my whole life. So I spent time to think about communication, telling story is my ability, but what that means to me if not from commission work. Then, okay, I decided, keep doing commission creative work, but looking for my personal goal through communication, the only ability I got. Then, also I named myself Another Mountain Man because everyone said this, because my MTR advertising is very famous in Asia. They call me the MTR of Stanley Wong. Very confusing to people that one day you do personal work. Then I named myself Another Mountain Man. Okay, it's a name after a very influential painter from Qing and Ming Dynasty. So his name is called A Great Mountain Man. So I named after him Another Mountain Man. So I spent 1 year, what should I do? What I concern most? In fact, I decided that day, I was 33, if one day I can do some work along my agenda, along my voice, that people in harmony I really do things that concern most for myself. Of course, I'm still working in the agency 16 to 20 hours a day. It's very tough and horrible, actually. And then until 2001, then I do my own studio, directing TV commercials, so I can spare some time to do my personal work through design and also art platform. So a very long-lasting, since then till now, I'm still working on this particular material we call red, white, blue in Hong Kong. In fact, it's invented in Japan in 60s. And in blue color, they're still using it in construction site. The technology migrated to Taiwan. They changed to these 3 colors. So Hong Kong using a lot imported from Taiwan for construction site and also for other occasions. So to me, red, white, blue is everywhere in Hong Kong. It's very durable, very tough, and also they're very committed to working here and there in different parts of the city. So to this kind of tough, working hard commitment to the city, it's really reflected 60s and 70s of Hong Kong. When I mention this, means nowadays we're back to China for almost 20 years, that we're losing that positive energy, a positive spirit of Hong Kong that we have at that time. So from 2001, I started using this material, doing a lot of different things to symbolizing or promoting the positive energy of Hong Kong I call this project called Building Hong Kong Red, White, Blue. Just we want to rebuild the Hong Kong, the positive angle to look into our city. So I try to use a lot of words on top to discuss, to debate, to challenge what we're looking for our future. From two-dimensional to three-dimensional, I built a bus stop in the outdoor and talk about our future, our destination. And also I built an apartment with all red, white, blue furniture to talk about family, talk about home. Instead, an individual home for a family of 4, or we talk about the whole Hong Kong as a family. Because in day-to-day manner, we're quite falling apart. People not treating each other as a friend. We treat others like enemy. We are not like a family. So I do this kind of project to challenge, to let people think, what's family about? And also this home setting, moving to different part of the world. This picture in particular is in Singapore. You can see far away. You can see the French flag there. In fact, that room I show all the red, white, blue color kind of nation flag on the wall. Talk about the ego and power, that kind of manner. Because everyone, when they see this red, white, blue, they said it belongs to them. Of course, French said it's French. American will say American. Then, in fact, it's from Hong Kong and Taiwan. They start to call me Mr. Red, White, Blue or Father Red, White, Blue in Hong Kong. The museum asked me to curate shows, working along with more and more students and artists, designers, along the Hong Kong story with this fabric. Cultural occasions asked me to do settings and decorations. And also representing Hong Kong to Venice Biennial, the art event that I built a big tea house to talk about face-to-face communication when we go to the tea house. But nowadays, people even go to the tea house, sitting on the table, they're still looking on the phone, not talking to each other. But it's not working now. It's still working in 2005, I guess. And as a performance in the opening, I also do objects to using this 20th century industrial material to have a crossover with the Qing and Ming kind of vase aesthetic, this shape. And also, a lot of people helping me to roll out this snowboard. People give me very expensive advertising space, allow me to promote this Building Hong Kong message. Of course, I publish books about these materials and the creative side of this work. Also work along with students in Hong Kong to talk about 3 words, 信望愛, the faith, hope, and love, how we see our city. So all the youngsters will do his or her little posters to paste around the whole MTR station. The lightbox posters done by me. This is also referring to the word love. The Chinese word say, you should love, okay? And Cantonese in our whole country, when I say you should love, is exactly identical to the Korean famous actress Lee Yong-yi, Lei Ying-ai, the same, actually. So I put that outdoor poster up there. Although I said you should love, but I think 80 to 90% of the Hong Kong people, when they see this, they might already referring to the Korean actress. That's how we live. That's very, very confused. And of course, we love Lee Yong-yi, but having said that, they forgot you should love. That's how we value things. Of course, I've been involved in a lot of art basel, art event. And also, this is a Hong Kong graffiti artist, I should call him. He keep writing on the street that he came himself is the king of Kowloon. I use his word to reorganize the whole thing into my message. The blue side that you see is how the Hong Kong people like the stock market, investment, eating, shopping. It's all about Hong Kong. On the red side, this is my ideal Hong Kong. The biggest forward is the Hong Kong people take care of Hong It's symbolizing all the local people, what they had, what they treasure about our future. Then one day, the octopus is the cash card of the city that they use my story to be their branding exercise. I show you the TV commercial I directed.
香港出品，香港精神，香港就係拼搏，乜都要快，係我哋嘅精神。講創意，梗係香港精神啦！由小變大，變到全世界都識，就係呢份精神。喺呢10年，你同我都一直帶住呢份香港精神向前走。八達通繼續做好下個10週年。
And then also charity organization. This charity organization take care of the mental illness people called New Life. They came to me, asked me to design products for them to help the patient. When they are recovering, they have a shelter factory. They can to produce those products. So I volunteer myself to design products for them. Hong Kong government also supporting to give them space to open the shop. So of course, you talk about the Hong Kong, the positive Hong Kong. All the product design, I not only talk about aesthetic or trendy things, I try to put message on top. For example, this is a very big bag that they can carry a lot of heavy stuff. On top, I engravings another 4 words on top. No matter how heavy. It's about how Hong Kong people seeing ourselves. We think the city is really heavy, that we should do something else. This one is, I can shoulder this, I can carry this. Talk about the individual responsibility. Also, I create a Hong Kong bear. Working with the Taiwan students to talk about their life, happy and sad things. So all the students' voice, I just put it up to make a dialogue with the whole city. So since then, I think I make big and small 100 shows and works. I just keep traveling and around the world and Hong Kong and China. And this part is more on the social issue, social phenomenon. And also on the other side, because I'm a Buddhist more than 10 years, gradually my work is more on this side. For example, I make posters to talk about human values. I make objects like a sofa, coffee table, and a little bookshelf. And then these 3 objects will be shown in the show again, but they are reforming into another shape, become a coffin. It's talking about how we see life and death. Imagine that you are sitting on your sofa, reading paper, that you know this is your future coffin. Definitely, you will have a different way to live your life in every single day. And also, I make installation and photography. This is called Heaven on Earth. Talk about the truth and illusion. People see it is very peaceful, and that another person will see it very lonely. It's all from your heart. I make clock, another object. Talk about live life. Live now, an important belief that concentrate this moment, live now. In fact, the clock clicking every second is still now. Like my T-shirt here, future and the past. The now is in your body and mind. I think Stanley and another mountain supposed 2 persons. I live 2 lives. I'm very lucky that I got 2 lives. But somehow, few projects came to me last few years. Commercial client corporate, they are not only talking to Stanley, they come to Another Mountain Man. For example, I make this installation that called Painting by God, just rely on sunlight and the nature to creating this painting. So one day, advertising company and client came to me, said, Stanley, I really like your installation. It's very symbolizing our corporate philosophy. This is a Canadian big insurance company called Sun Life Finance. They asked me, Stanley, you write the script, no matter how, that involving the Painting by God, that become our corporate promotional film. So I wrote the script, and then it's 30 minutes, so I can't show you today. If you're interested, you go to YouTube, search Sun Life Financial Experience the Sun. So I make this story to talk about the old days, Hong Kong people's neighborhood, friendship, all those values. And also, luckily, 3 or 4 years ago, I started to work with a property client in Shenzhen, South China. Normally, when they do shopping mall, residential kind of property promotion, they all talk about materialistic, Western lifestyle. That kind of, to me, is very bullshit. It's no longer relevant to nowadays the world. So I convinced them to go beyond that materialistic life. How about we go for mindful inner value? I prepared to losing this client and not with this job because they're not really into that angle. But surprised me, they buy into this concept. So 3 years before we launched the campaign, we talk about inner value kind of lifestyle. We do all the film, set up everything, even e-magazine to talk about how we are living with different way of aesthetic, treasure, culture, and art. Instead of China at the moment, the mainstream still talking about luxury, spending money in a very materialistic way. So when I start to have this Another Mountain Man, different file, doing different things, I thought Stanley and Another Mountain Man always two direction. But somehow, as I mentioned before, they come together at one point. I can show you more about those same cases. Corporate asks Another Mountain Man to promote their brand or their business. But somehow I can see Stanley Wong is in conjunction or crossover with Another Mountain Man somehow. So last year when I do my solo show in Tokyo GGG, so I named this show two-man show, Stanley Wong crossover Another Mountain Man. So of course I have many titles: designer, admin, film director, space design, clothes design. I haven't shown you. I do some projects like that. Of course, people name me contemporary artist. In fact, I don't care what medium or the way how we communicate. I do care the project is commissioned by someone or myself initiate. This got to be differentiate. It's a different mentality, different direction. So if you really ask me, Stanley, what do you think who you are? I rather said I'm an educator. I spend 1/3 of my time, 1/3, it's quite a lot actually, to volunteer myself doing education and doing volunteer work. If the project is really involved in social phenomenon, social topics, I think I'm like a social worker. Although I'm not a politician or a social worker, but I think my mind is like a social worker. If those topics about life philosophy, although I'm not a father or a monk, I do think I'm like a missionary. Creative can be commercial, no doubt. I'm still using 1/3 of my time to do commercial work to survive myself, to get my connection with the commercial society. Some people will think creativity is about cultural, about history. I think scholar and academic people will really into that part. And also, artists will take it very personal to express themselves. To me, creativity is very important. It's like a platform, allow us to think about our society, about our world, thoughts, expression, sharing, even debate, and communicate. Creativity, to me, is all about life. This is how I see, throughout my last 36 years, how we differentiate different angles, different values to obtain from creative process. This is how I see. Maybe you can find another angle to look into different values of creativity. The last page, I really want the youngsters in this floor, and yet, which box you want to take. There's no particular hierarchy or which one is more important than the others, but somehow you need to think what is creative means to you and why you create. Thank you.